G'day guys, welcome back to the Flogsville podcast. We are here for a club-by-club preview of season 2024 and some options. I'm going to go through each club pretty much as quickly as possible. So hopefully keeping this video, no more than 15 minutes or something like that. Just short and sharp, go through some options, premiums, mid-prices, rookies, just really off the top of my head. So you'll probably get a gauge of where I'm thinking with certain players, but just for those that haven't done any research or would like to hear about some options, I know certainly I've been in having lots of content, lots of different podcasts and videos in the preseason. It's good to hear lots of different perspectives just to gauge what people in the community are thinking about a player, and then you make the decision yourself. So trying to get as much information as you can about a player and build that story in your head why they might be a knockout pick or a gun rookie or a mid-pricer. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start at the Adelaide Crows now. They are super fantasy relevant, have been for a while. How good was Jordan Dawson last year moving into the midfield? Went on that super impressive streak during the middle of the year, for most of the year really. Finished the year a bit slow and not as good. But that middle part of the year, he just seemed to get 120 every week and was a captain option. Of a very popular pick. So could you start him? Again, I can't really see him slowing down. The Crows are on the up. They should be in the 8 and winning games. Just the only question mark on him is the teams maybe look to shut him down a little bit. You saw that at the back half of the year. I think the Gold Coast tagged him, and again, we're going to talk a lot about taggers. Are they actually a thing, or we saw a few teams employ them, but the majority of the comp didn't bother. So do you let a Jordan Dawson just run off the chain? I don't know. That's my only question mark around him, but super unique, super, I think his value, he's 113 priced at, so he could easily, as we saw, do 115 plus and get you off to a hot start as well, just because his ability to win the ball on the inside, tackles well, he marks, he gets around the ground, and especially if the Crows are going to win some games, he always drifts back and gets those plus sixes and just controls the game. After each quarter, he basically runs the show there. So that's Jordan Dawson, and that was a long time speaking about Jordan Dawson, so I need to be a bit quicker. All right, let's go through Rory Laird, Matt Crouch. Okay, Laird, we know he's done it before, had the poor score round 1 last year. Expect him to bounce back, not be the 120s guy probably with Dawson and Crouch there, but definitely a little bit underpriced of what he can do. And Matt Crouch, we saw him come home last 5 when he was back in the team. Crows were pushing for finals. He got coaches' votes in those games. So you think, and all the word out of the Crows is he'll be in there in that midfield mix, those big 3, plus your Isaac Rankin, plus your Josh Rochelli's, Lukey Pedler floating in there, and Saligo potentially as well. So Matt Crouch he's burned a few of us before. I know I've got a bit of a taste in my mouth about Matt Crouch potentially, but the value's there. The guy's priced at low 700s and he can push towards that 90, 95 to 100 quite comfortably, I think. So great option there. In terms of mid prices, not too many of the Crows. Like Josh Rochelli was a popular name. I know he was in my side for a little bit over Christmas, New Year, just for what we saw in the first half of last year, or the first sort of 5-6 rounds. Average 92 in the midfield, looked amazing. He's had a big pre-season. I think he'll be improved, but I don't know whether that'll be enough improvement to be worthwhile. And then Dan Curtin, he's the rookie we're hoping for. I don't know, defensive rookies, it's going to be really tough to find some. I think there's a couple of names floating around, but in terms of how much money they'll make, Dan Curtin, I think, has the best potential of scoring, but I think I don't think he's best 22 just yet. I think the Crows will want to get some games into him in the SANFL and then bring him in, and his quality, I think we'll have him in our side at some point this year. So let's move on to Brisbane. Not too many options in the Lions. Last year we had Dunkley and an underpriced Lockie Neal went on to win the Brownlow, which was something. This year, let's talk about Kitty Coleman. The way we all saw last year, grand final, he was amazing. Had 100 points in the first half of the grand final. No Daniel Rich. He's the guy back there. He's the distributor. Just the only concern is he can, have those 40-point quarters and then not touch the ball much. Just getting those 4-quarter efforts for Kitty Coleman have proven a bit difficult, but he is certainly underpriced, and it's just his value. It's just how much value. What can he go? Can he go a low 90s, or is he just going to be a high 80s kind of guy? I think he can go in the 90s, definitely in the right role, and he's got that role. And all reports he's flying this preseason. Has had plenty of the pills, so yeah, should be an interesting one. Whether you start him, I think round zero will determine a lot. Is that early 600s? I think we're looking for that in our defence alongside another guy we'll talk about a little later on in Elliot Yeo. They're the kind of two standout candidates. Does have the round 2 bye, so can you afford to go without him, especially if we have these defender rookies who don't look like scoring much. But yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. He's a good option. In terms of the rookies at the Lions, not too many. I think round 0 you can use that. If any come out and score really well, then you could probably plug them in knowing that you'll get that cash generation. All right, let's talk about Carlton. Again, on the round 2 bye, not too many options. Sam Walsh was the option. Any other season, I think he would have been a walk-up starter for all of us, but just the reoccurrence of that back issue once again has got me a little bit concerned, and whether he might still play round 0, round 1. We'll wait and see what happens there with Walshy, but his quality, we know what he did in the finals. Again, like Kitty Coleman, usually when they perform well back half the year, finals, that's a good indicator of what they're going to do the next year. And Sam Walsh, I think, is a 110 mid when he's fully fit. So it's a shame that he won't be there for us potentially, but yeah, a good option if he's fit and healthy. Zach Williams, yeah, he played today in the reserves, so that's a concern that he hasn't had a practice match. I don't know if we'll see him round 0 or round 1, but definitely at some point throughout the year, I think he'll be one to jump on. He's very cheap in the 400s, and we know what he's done in the past. So yeah, he's a quality player coming back from the ACL, so we'll see how he goes and get some minutes. Might be a bit of a sub risk here or there, but yeah, he's definitely a good option. All right, moving on through this order, we've got the Pies, Collingwood. Let's talk about Nick Dacos, because there's not too many other options apart from Nick Dacos and Finn McRae for Collingwood. So Nick Dacos, do you start him? I know he burnt a few last year and he frustrated a few that didn't start him last year, and then those that did start him got off to a wonderful start. The only difference is, I think this year they're coming off winning the flag. I think it's no secret, if you can slow him down, you slow Collingwood down. We've seen that with Hawthorn and other teams employ that tag towards him. Now, he's going to be in the midfield. He's going to be in the guts, and I definitely think it's harder for teams are less likely to tag in the midfield, I think, compared to halfback, because you can put your worst player on, a run-with player, at halfback. Your worst forward can just negate them, run with him. Same with the wing, but I think in the guts you need to, if you're going to employ someone, you saw the Hawks do that with Finn McGuinness. He pretty much has to be at the centre bounce or roll up the centre bounce starting at half forward, which can throw things out and which a lot of teams don't usually try and do. Port run Willem Drew, and that slowed him down to some extent that game last year. I think he scored 90 odd, so he's pretty much priced at 110. So you're really banking on him getting off to a flyer once again, which he's more than capable of. Like, he's a gun, he's an absolute jet. He's going to get better. He's coming off the finals. He still scored well, even with limited preparation, coming off that knee injury. Still scored well, and that's my thinking in the middle, that he is going to score even better. But 110, you can maybe afford to wait, but as we know last year, it is the guy can put 130s on your head, and then it becomes really hard to bring him in. So yeah, that'll be the test for coaches to see what happens there. And Finn McRae, yeah, last night looking all pre-season like he'd be the F5 S6 that we kind of want and need, but I don't think he's best 22. He might be best 23, 24. And come on and be a sub risk or start as a sub, which is going to hurt his cash generation. So I think it's worth round 0 seeing if he's in the team. The way Lipinski sort of played last night, I think he's got that spot ahead of him as that high half forward into the midfield. But if one of their mids goes down, I think Finn McRae's straight in. So I think we will own him at some point. I think he's got it there. It's his 3rd or 4th year in the system now. Like, it's his time with Taylor Adams leaving. I don't think he's quite in the 22 at the moment. I think Lockie Schultz coming over from Freo was significant in that respect. So, yeah, unfortunate that we probably won't have him. But again, round 0, we might. You never know. There could be an injury here or there, or see what they do. So we'll get a bit of a look in round 0 if he's there or not. All right, let's talk about the Bombers. Usually a little bit relevant. We've got the Primos, Merritt and Parrish. Can they continue to back it up? You'd probably say they can. But then after that, there's not a lot. There's not a lot at Essendon. So the rookies, not too much. Mid-prices, I know Sardis, or however you say his name, I think he was a popular option as a forward earlier in the preseason, but I think now he's going to be stuck on the wing or half forward. He hasn't got the Ben Hobbs kind of role as that third banana in the midfield, so I think that's what people were hoping for. The big one is Nick Martin. Now, a lot of talk about him being a halfback from Essendon, from people watching Essendon. It's the Dacos role. He's going to be the distributor back there. So can you start him? He's a straight mid. He's in that 700s alongside a Matt Crouch and Ollie Wines type of price point. So could you start him, and then round 6 you'll get DPP and can throw him back? That would be pretty handy. But Essendon have got a bit of a tough run. They've played the Swans. They've got the Hawks round 1. So I don't know. I think if he comes out, Nick Martin, and plays really well in the Community Series game, I think the Hawks might even end up tagging him with Finn McGuinness potentially. But Zach Merritt's there. They're playing Essendon round 1. You'd probably go to Zach Merritt. But I'm intrigued to see Nick Martin. I think picking a midfielder that's going to get defender status. I don't normally do something like that, but I think he's going to be a very popular pick. Especially if he goes well in the Community Series game coming up. I think a lot of teams will take that option on, and then be able to swing him back after round 6. So a real watch on Nick Martin. All right, who's after Essendon? It's got to be Freo. It is Freo. So you've got Sarong, we've got Brayshaw, we've got Hayden Young. I know I was one of the coaches that started him last year, and he's a frustrating owner. He was frustrating. And then the back half of the year, we saw him move into that midfield and have a pretty significant role for Freo, being that tackle first, getting the ball, Jordan Dawson style, getting that best kick into the midfield, bigger body. He can mark, he can tackle, he can rack up and use the ball well. So again, all the talk out of Freo is he's in the mids, he's going to be in the midfield. It's just the competition of Brayshaw and Sarong. There's not many teams where you get three guys average over 100, which is what we're kind of hoping for. He's priced at 89, so he's pretty expensive. And as a defender, if he can push 95 to 100, that's going to be a top 6 defender. So that's what we kind of want. Whether he can get that or not, I'm not too sure at the moment, especially with Nat Fyfe and Matty Johnson, who will be used in the midfield too. So there's a lot of mouths to feed at Freo. So that's my only flag on Hayden Young, but I love the pick and I love his ability to win the ball on the inside. A defender that's playing midfield, that's typically Fantasy 101. That's what we look for. So looks like a good pick. Let's talk about Nat Fyfe. I think Sarong and Brayshaw are going to be as good as they were last year. I think there's not going to be much change there. Nat Fyfe is cheap. He's been there before. It's his best preseason in a number of years. He's inside mid. Can he score? That's my only question mark. And his body, of course, he is a sub-risk. Freo have got a nice start to the year, so you probably could ride him a little bit, and especially in our forward lines, these mid-price guys, we're going to have to pick a couple, I think. So Nat Fyfe is definitely an option. In terms of the rookies, there's one or two putting their hands up at the moment, but not much to shout about at Freo, I think, in terms of potential of those rookies scoring and staying in the team. I think Jeremy Sharp is the only one. I think we've seen him before. A lot of people owned him a few years ago at the Gold Coast. I think that wing role is going to be his. Liam Henry leaving, O'Driscoll's out with a fairly long-term sort of injury. Heath Chapman was a popular defender. He was going to play a bit of wing half-back. He's out for a long time as well. So I think Jeremy Sharp is going to have one wing to himself, and then maybe Matty Johnson on the other wing, or Erasmus or someone like that, or a Michael Frederick if he's fit and ready to go. So I think Jeremy Sharp is a lock for us. I'm looking forward to watching him on Friday night at Port versus Freo and seeing what he's like on the wing. So, yeah, 280k. You could have him on your ground. I think he's shown that scoring pedigree. It's just the wing role might be a bit volatile scoring, but we know start early in the season, the wingers do rack up when the game is more open and free flowing and faster. So yeah, Jeremy Sharp, great option there for your bench or on the field. All right, let's move on to the Cats. Geelong. A little bit relevant, more or less for Tom Stewart. We know what he's like. A few of us last year owned him when he got injured round 114, but again, he's just that high 90s, hundreds guy, solid as back there. Might float in for a little bit more midfield time when the Cats need it, which is always good, and plenty of games down at GMHBA. So he's a different player down there, as we know. So he's got a great run to start the year. So definitely a good option for your premium defenders. And then it's the rookies. There's not much else. Cam Guthrie, unfortunately, I thought I was pretty keen on him as an option, but got injured the other day and he's out for a while, so that's no good. And then it's pretty much Jai Clark, who we saw a quarter of last year, scored 30 odd. So I think with Guthrie out, I think they have to play the kids, the Geelong, and I hope they do. And that is good for Jai Clark. Again, a rookie inside mid. He's been in the system a couple of years now. Bigger body, can tackle. So yeah, good one for your bench, I think. And a solid 60, hopefully. Might be a bit of a sub risk at times, but yeah, I think Geelong have to play the kids. They've got to do something. I know they might see this as a bit of the last shot, but I just don't think they're good enough at the moment. So that includes Toby Conway. He's a popular ruck, 316k. So yeah, he's probably, him and Jordan Sweet, potentially the only ones that might play. But that's still a lot to play out, as we know, between then. But whether you pay up for one of these guys, I think is going to be important, especially if you want to get some coverage for Grundy, for Gawn during round 5, round 6. I think paying up for a Toby Conway, if he's in the team. Again, Geelong, I hope they look to the future, and Reece Stanley sort of phases out. And I think Conway can get you a 55 or 60 if he's there. So he's the ruckman of the future for the Cats. I think why not get him as many games as possible. Whether they start Stanley, then bring him in. I think we'll own him at some point, but hopefully, we'll know round 1 if he's in or not. It'll be an interesting watch for us this week. Sean Manor was a popular name, mature age recruit, dominated at Werribee in the VFL last year. If he gets named, he's 200k mid forward. You put him in and you hope he scores well. You think he will get a game throughout the year. Let's move on to the Gold Coast Suns under Damien Hardwick. Wow, they've really come into some relevance. With Sam Flanders, of course, you've got Touk Miller, who has had a terrible injury run last year in the side as well. So he's underpriced. You could easily start with both of those guys, depending on how they go round 0.